Well, lucky you. You have stumbled into another edition of Conversation Collage. Hi there. I'm Ken Johannesson, your host, and we come to you from the apple capital of the world, Wenatchee, Washington. Also the buckle of the power belt of the great Northwest, where it is a nice, clear, blue sky, mid-November day. How you doing? Nice to have you aboard. As Thanksgiving draws near, we've got some Thanksgiving tips for you from somebody who knows his stuff, one of the premier food publicists. And then we will talk about breast cancer and the latest clinical trial data on a new treatment for advanced breast cancer, which has some promising results. So we'll talk about that a little later on. Thanksgiving is on the way, and if you are sweating about putting together the big meal, and it is a big meal because it's the one time of the year when the whole family gets together and you don't want to screw it up, I thought, who is the best person to talk to about Thanksgiving and getting ready and some tips for the Thanksgiving meal? And I couldn't think of anybody better than Leo Pearlstein. Leo Pearlstein, I have known him for many years, and he is a sweetheart of a gentleman. He is one of the premier food publicists in this nation and has dealt with a number of food-related concerns and has represented a number of food-related companies and is preeminently qualified to talk about the topic of Thanksgiving and some good tips for you to help put together that big meal. And we caught up with him a while back from his home in Los Angeles, California. Leo, how you doing? How's L.A.?
Fine. It's very good to talk to you.
We have talked for, I don't know how many years now, about right around holiday time, about Thanksgiving, about Christmas, about the holiday meal, and the things we can do to make it easier. And it seems like nothing's really changed, you know. We still cook the turkey. We still do the rolls and the stuffing and all that stuff. But every year we come into the same old questions. You think people will have this down by now?
Well, a good number of people in the world eat turkey the year round in sandwiches or parts, you know.
Sure.
But Thanksgiving is a big, big, happy holiday deal. And when you're having company, in addition to your own family, you worry about doing the best you can. You know, they're going to talk about it. You want compliments. And no matter how long you've been doing it, you get stressed out and you forget something. You're bound to forget something, and you worry. You hope you don't forget. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you hope everything comes out. So it's kind of a stress time. So,
you know, the main thing is planning. Planning this all out is so important.
Well, you know, we take a lesson from the professionals, from the chefs. They make a living at this stuff, and they plan everything. What the chefs do, not only do they write down things, what they're going to serve, what they're going to buy, what they're going to need, how long it's going to take, but they also prepare a lot of the stuff ahead of time, so they don't have to do it as they go along. Mm-hmm. Now, you've seen the Food Network where they have the little cups of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you think they're doing it because it's on TV and they want to do it in a hurry. That's the way they do it anyway. Mm-hmm. They have everything lined up as far as ingredients, and you dump this in, this in, this. You know, that's the way it is. So planning is very important. We all do it in a way, but it's such a simple thing. And most markets will give you a good deal on the turkey. Mm-hmm. Some of them will say if you buy $25 worth of groceries, you'll get the turkey for half price, things like that. Mm-hmm. So you buy the turkey the week before, anytime now. It's a thing, a big monster. You take it home, it's frozen.
Sure.
The first thing is, do you have room in your freezer?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's a little thing. It's a heck of a thing to come home with a frozen turkey and not have room to put it in the freezer. Now, the next thing is you do put it in the freezer, and you're going to thaw it out slowly in the refrigerator 3 days before Thanksgiving or 4 days before Thanksgiving.
Right.
Take it out of the freezer, put it in the fridge, leave it in the original bag. They say it takes 5 pounds per day to defrost. So if you got a 15-pound turkey, that's 3 days.
3 days, yeah.
Got a 21, just give it 4 days. Now, don't put it on the counter. Don't put it in the garage. Don't put it where it can gather bacteria.
Right.
All right. Now, a very simple thing. When you thaw the turkey out and you take it out, the turkey processors have put a chart on the back of the label telling you approximately how long it's going to take.
Right.
Well, if you throw the bag away, you don't remember, and you say, geez, how long did it take me last year? So you cut out, or you rinse out the bag and cut that little chart out. You say, okay, I got a 15-pound turkey. It's going to take me 3.5 hours or whatever it says.
Mm-hmm.
I like to get a turkey with a pop-up turkey timer.
Sure.
I have an emotional tie-in with that because I worked with it many, many years ago.
Uh-huh.
And the pop-up turkey timer tells you when it's perfectly done. Now, along that line, there's something in addition to being perfectly done. The government tells us that poultry has salmonella, and you should cook it up to a certain temperature to kill any possible salmonella. So the government tells you 165 degrees. That doesn't mean the turkey is ready to eat, but it means you've killed the salmonella.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, let's say about seasoning the turkey. Sprinkle the seasoning on top of the turkey, and you think you're finished with it. Well, what you're doing is you're seasoning the skin.
Right, you're seasoning the top of it.
You're seasoning, so the seasoning comes from the cavity. Incidentally, it's good to get a poultry seasoning because they've gone to the trouble of blending it, putting in spices that match poultry. Shake it into the cavity. But the big thing is a very simple deal. Between the breast and the top skin is a pocket. You cut the membrane over the breast. You can either pull it up by itself or just snip it open. Put your hand in and push it as far as you can go, and you've just made a pocket between the top of the breast and the skin. You take a little sauce dish. You put about 3 or 4 tablespoons of extra light olive oil. Then you take your favorite herb that you're growing on your windowsill or that you buy that you like, thyme, parsley, oregano, herbs that you like. Just mince it up, a handful of it. Mince it up and put it in this little dish. Sprinkle your seasoning in, a little bit seasoning, or if you like garlic, put whatever your favorite seasoning is. And then take a navel orange and slice it thin, right through the skin. Make orange slices. Don't peel it. Slice it down with a sharp knife. You take the orange slices, you dip it in your solution that you just made, both sides, dip it in well, and push it in to the top of the breast. Depending on how big the pocket is, you may put 3 or 4 slices in. Then you just flip the skin back and you're ready to go. Baste the turkey. Now you use the same olive oil. So you take and you baste the entire turkey with a pastry brush. What you do, and incidentally, when you baste the turkey, and this is something almost so simple, between the drumstick and the body, and sometimes the legs are together, pull the legs apart. In fact, some of them, the legs are tied together. When you get the turkey, it's covered with a little piece of skin and the legs are tied together. What I do is I cut the top skin and actually pull the legs so they're sticking out, and there's room between the drumstick and the body, and you baste there too. It's just a little hint.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, now you've basted the turkey. Another thing is, I used to open up the oven, and I used to baste it every hour. And the chefs tell you don't have to do it. If you've done a good besides, when you open up the oven and you're letting cold air in, it might affect your timing. Leave it alone. Just baste it once, and it's in the oven.
Sure.
Now, while we're talking about the turkey, when the turkey's done, it's still cooking when you take it out of the oven. It's got juices in there. Some people are so hungry and so much in a hurry they start carving it immediately.
That's something they've also talked about that with steaks and things like that. You don't want to immediately put it out on the table for consumption. You want to let it. Hold
settle
for a
down.
little. Yeah, settle down for a little.
Not
bit.
only that, with turkey, you've had it in the oven for several hours. The juices are going to sprout out on you and burn your finger.
Right.
So what you do is let it rest. And somebody came up. I don't know who did. Somebody came up and said 20 minutes. Why and how, I don't know why.
Okay, so there's no set formula for pound or anything like that.
You let it rest, get a good sharp knife, but here's the thing. Your oven is empty. It's going to take you, 15 minutes to carve the turkey.
That's let me finish your sentence. That's where you do the rolls.
Okay, you're right. You know why? You get frozen rolls that have been baked by master bakers, a real old-fashioned recipe, no preservatives, as if you baked it. Your visitors will think you baked the rolls. What you do is you take the frozen rolls out of the freezer, take them in the morning or early afternoon, take them out, and let them rise. It's going to take about 4 or 5 hours to rise. Put a piece of plastic wrap above so it doesn't dry. It'll double in size. Either put them in a muffin tin or on a cooking tin,
Cooking sheet, yeah.
Cooking sheet. Now, the oven's empty. You're carving the turkey. The rolls have risen. the delicious home-baked rolls, put them in the oven, and when you finish carving the turkey, the rolls are finished. There's nothing better than bringing hot food together at the same time.
Yeah.
Hot rolls, hot turkey, and the veggies that you did on top. It's just a good showmanship and makes your guests very happy that you're not getting one thing at a time.
Showmanship is important here because this is kind of like the main meal for bringing all the family together for the year. You don't want to mess it up, you know?
No, and then you're really, and so far you haven't stressed yourself out.
No.
You haven't stressed. Now, here's another little handy hint, salads. We love salad, and most people do, and you make salad every day, and you're going to have salad at the table, but it's a holiday, so there's a very simple little thing to do. Make your salad, whatever you've been doing every day, but surprise your guests and put something in it that you don't do during the year. There's thousands of things. Olives, pickle slices, walnuts, raisins, almost any little thing. In fact, last year, one of the chefs I saw on TV used mandarin oranges. I like mandarin oranges. They're tiny, cute little orange segments.
Yeah.
Open up a little can, pour the juice out, and sprinkle a mandarin orange. Just something different that you've done on the salad. Some will say, oh, what have you got in the salad? Or cranberries, dried cranberries now, for example. So now the same thing goes with the salad dressing. You know, all year long you've got the ranch, you got all the balsamic, you got all the different. Surprise your guests and make a gourmet, homemade salad dressing. Just a little bit different. You put it in the cruet and pass it around. And this was very simple, and it takes just as long to make it as it does for me to tell you about it. You take that same olive oil that you've used before, you take 4 or 5 tablespoons, then you take about 3 tablespoons of either vinegar or lemon juice, and the vinegar could be balsamic, wine, white, whatever you want to. Sprinkle a few of your sprinkles of the seasoning in, or some garlic if you like it, and then take just a little teaspoon of mustard, the yellow mustard, put it in and mix it up. Put your finger in like the chefs do, taste it and see if it meets your pleasure. If you think you need more mustard, put some more mustard in. The only thing is, I say, just a little tiny different. You've suddenly, without hardly any work at all, stuff you've got in the cupboard, you've made a gourmet salad dressing. It's holiday time, so you've surprised your guests.
Leo, you know, you've been doing this for so many years, you know, dealing with in the food industry and, you know, with different types of meals and things like that. Let's say we were doing this interview like maybe 50 years ago, you know, 1960 or so. How much of what we talked about right now in the last 15 minutes or so, how much would be the same?
Well, the basics are, if you stick to the fresh vegetables and the fresh potatoes and the old-fashioned stuff that we did the hard way, it's still there. And there's no reason, if you have the time and the utensils, to go fresh. What you've got nowadays is prepared stuff that helps you speed it along.
Leo Pearlstein, it is always a pleasure. I'm proud to consider you a good friend of mine.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and I consider the same thing.
Thank you very much. Leo, thanks for being with us, and happy Thanksgiving, huh?
And the very same to you.
Leo Pearlstein is not only a food publicist, he is an author. He has many, many, many stories about not only food, but the celebrities he has enlisted to publicize the food clients that he represented. And he put his stories into a book which is laden with great photos called Celebrity Stew. It's been out for quite some time, but it is still available. And if you like celebrities and you like food, this is a perfect recipe for some good reading. Celebrity Stew, and you can go to celebritystew.com, and you can also follow Leo Pearlstein on Twitter. Conversation Collage it is, and you enjoy it on all your favorite podcast platforms. And if you would be so kind to, if you go to the Apple page to give us a rating and give us a review, I would be most appreciative. You can also follow us on Facebook at Conversation Collage Podcast. That same title works for our Instagram page as well. About 30% of women diagnosed with earlier stages of breast cancer will eventually develop a form of the disease for which there is no cure. Metastatic breast cancer. About 155,000 people currently